Oh. Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. Everyone lift up their hands. 100,102. In 1 week, our community was able to come to unity in the form of $100,102. A quote for you, which you would have read yesterday on social media. Don't let the sun go down without saying thank you to someone. And without admitting to yourself that absolutely no one gets this far alone. By Stephen King. This quote is offered to and exemplifies our team that make all of these offerings possible. You would have seen their smiling faces yesterday. On social media, I get to track how many people engage in those postings, like those postings, and it's way more than anything I put out. People wanted to see their smiling faces. They're tired of this one. And this quote exemplifies and is offered to all of you. We are not a national community in the sense that there's no national organization that's promoting, supporting our community. It really is me speaking to a family member speaking to a friend. And this grassroots approach is most efficient, most effective. Everyone smile at each other. I know it's early for some of you. It's late. Some have stayed up all night. You'll get to go to sleep soon. The force is with us because we are with the force. Why is Sri Krishna teaching Prince Arjuna in the middle of a battlefield? He's not instructing Prince Arjuna in fighting. He's teaching him about his nature. Why? A duty crisis or responsibility crisis comes from an identity crisis or forgetting who one is. This is why Sri Krishna is teaching and not instructing. We have not come across any do this, don't do this. Sri Krishna is guiding Prince Arjuna to know his authentic and deep self. He knows his inauthentic self, the body, the mind, the intellect. He knows the not deep self, which is the ego. What's lovely about this message, the qualities that we all look to in others to develop lovely relationships, is authenticity and depth. And so what Sri Krishna is really guiding Prince Arjuna in is loving himself. For those who are living with anyone at home, If the person you're living with doesn't love themselves, it is much harder to be cheerful in that home. But if that person does love themselves, it becomes much easier to be cheerful. Have you found that? I was reading to Vyasa this morning a book on the Lion King, and he was asking me about the hyenas. Do you all remember the hyenas in the Lion King? And I was sharing with him that when they're hungry, they become mean. And I said, not like you, Vyasa, correct? When you're hungry, you don't get frustrated. So subliminally, I'm trying to teach him. The scripture is about loving ourselves. One more insight into the last verse. When you establish the relative, by association, you establish the absolute also. We may not be able to tune into the absolute yet, but certainly through these teachings, we can establish this is relative and that is relative. Over the last 16 weeks, even the last week, let that be one of your practices, is to be more clear that articles, beings, circumstances, the body, mind, intellect are relative. This will be a catalyst for us to feel the self. Chapter 2, verse 20. This is a longer meter. Na jayate mriyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyaha ajo nitya shashvato yam puranaha na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Shri Krishna continues to describe the spirit and says, na jayate, the spirit is not born. Na mriyate, the spirit does not die. Va, or kadachit, anything in between. Such as, in between being born and dying, is maturing, is becoming unwell. So he's excluding all of this. Thinking about this logically, the self is existence and awareness and joy. How can this be created? What can create existence? In Hong Kong, their airport, I believe this came in at a cost of $40 billion because they had to create land for that airport in the water. But creating land here means they took established land and just moved it. Now that's possible with Earth, with existence. How do you create that? And relatedly, how will that die? Can you stab existence? Can you blow up existence? Does existence get old? Making this more personal. Joy cannot be created, which means joy cannot be destroyed, which means joy is. Joy is being. We have forgotten that, and we're trying to remember that. In an earlier semester of Meaningful Mornings, when I proved to you that your nature is joy, the fifth proof was, and though I explained it as a fifth, it really is the first, embracing the natural. Embracing the natural. Whenever we are patient, whenever we are compassionate, we embrace this because that's who we are. We want to be more patient, more compassionate. Joy is the same way. No one can ever be too happy. You embrace this because this is your nature. Next line, next quarter. Nayam bhutva, ayam bhutva, when this body is born. Bhavita vana bhuyaha, the spirit is not born with it. And relatedly, when the body dies, the spirit does not die with it, because the body and the spirit are different. So many times when we go to a funeral, the pujari or the priest will say, and the departed soul is gone to another body, or the atma has left this sharira. And poetically, one can share whatever they want, yet that's not accurate. That is not accurate. So the next time, if someone says, is there an objection? You stand up and say, verse 20, chapter 2, Bhagavad Gita. The soul was not born with the body, and the soul is not dying with the body either. The spirit, I know this is a challenging concept for us. Try to feel this as the sense of being. Whatever sense of being you have, the sense of you, that is what the spirit is. And this being is being happiness. Becoming is only because of that being. If there's no being, you can't become this or become that. This sense of being is. It's not created, it's not destroyed. The becoming is actually the postponement of happiness. The becoming is escaping your nature. This is what Prince Arjuna has done. He's ignoring or taking for granted who he is. The third quarter, you are ajaha. You're not born. That was shared. You are nityaha. You are undying. That was shared too. I'll open up the next two words. Shashwataha. This is a lovely word. Shashwata means ever fresh. And Purana means ever, forever. So forever and fresh, okay? Purana means forever, and Shashwata means fresh. These two words combined, if you think of that which is forever, what can happen to that which is forever? Can anything be done to it? Okay, in a more relative sense, that which is ever fresh, can anything be done to that? As soon as you do something, it's ever fresh again, correct? The sense of being is forever and ever fresh. And now the last quarter, I'll give you an example to reflect on. Shri Krishna shares, Nahanyate, which means the spirit cannot be killed, hanyamane sharire, and the spirit will not kill. So like the earlier verse, does not get slayed and does not slay. So now thinking of this in an example, the body is like a wave and the spirit is like water. Waves are created and destroyed, water is not. Waves feel me and mine. This is me, this is my spouse wave, this is my home wave. But for the water, it's all. There is no attachment, which means there's no confusion, no fear, no sorrow. Keep reflecting. 2, application. Your application yesterday was to rate if you've become or how you've become more detached or more clear over the last 16 weeks. Does anyone want to share their rating? 1 means no change. You are like Brahman. You just don't change, period. 100 is you're Shashwata. You are ever fresh. You've become 40%, or you're on a 40 scale of being independent. 30, 55. Good. 16 weeks, you're already at 55. 16 more and you'll be free. The efficiency of our workshop. Here is your application for this morning. I want you to count the number of times you postpone being happy. Count the number of times you postpone being happiness. Shanti, Shanti, Shantihi. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be happiness.